One of the most depressing things about yesterday's attack in Barcelona is how routine it has begun to feel at this point. Deadly mass casualty attacks by Islamic nutcases happen almost monthly now in Europe, and lesser acts of extremism are even more common, not even in the press here sometimes. Yesterday's attack fit perfectly into this wider trend, but don't tell the press in the United States. Years spent trying to downplay Islamic terrorism may have reached their peak yesterday when multiple figures tried to tie the Barcelona attack not to the countless Islamic terror attacks that have come before. That would seem an obvious part of the chain, but instead somehow to the attack in Charlottesville.
Yeah, and there will be questions about copycats. There will be questions if what happened in Barcelona was at all a copycat version of what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
With the intensity of information that we've had related to the Charlottesville incident over the last 5 days, it's quite possible that may have precipitated this terrorist group's desire to gain the limelight and carry out a similar attack.
Needless to say, this is news stretched to the point of propaganda. The public isn't learning anything. It's fact-free, except maybe that they shouldn't trust the media. And that's sad, because over time, one day, the media will wake up to discover the public puts more faith and trust in conspiracy theories and online rumors than they do in the official story. That's bad for America and bad for the press. Maybe they should think it through before they spread garbage like you just saw. Tammy Bruce is a New York City radio show host, and she joins us tonight. So, Tammy, when you saw the atrocity in Barcelona yesterday, was your first thought, man, maybe Charlottesville is what inspired this?
No, you know, this is what's interesting is that every normal person looks at something like that and we're crushed. And we know it's a touristy area. We know multiple countries will be involved. We know people were enjoying their day in a beautiful city, just walking through a promenade. And then the next thing, like our American who was killed on his anniversary, first-year anniversary, gets up to use the bathroom, walks away from his bride, and he gets murdered. And so these are the things that remind us about how things can change in a moment. But horribly for American news, and look, Americans rely on news networks to find out what's going on in the world, especially in tragedies. And you have Wolf Blitzer as an example, as you've played, immediately seeing that as a political opportunity. But let me tell you, it's not about downplaying the event. I would argue with you in that regard. They see in that example for that network everything through the prism of hating Trump. And so they saw Charlottesville as well. Well, we've attached him to that now. That's his fault. We've achieved that. So if we say that that's a copycat in Barcelona, Barcelona is Trump's fault as well. So that, I think, is more of what we're watching, is this inability to see anything outside of the prism of hating Donald Trump. And when you've got viewers who are relying on the facts of the matter on the ground, my goodness, they can't even get straight news anymore from individuals who are pathologically fixated at this stage.
Well, exactly, and that's, I mean, look, this is an opinion show, so you watch this show and you know you're getting opinion.
Right.
But if you're watching a news show or reading the front page of a daily newspaper, there's an expectation you're going to find out what actually happened.
Right.
And the description is not going to be colored by the opinions, political opinions of the person who wrote it. Isn't this making all of us just too cynical in the end? Like, aren't average people going to conclude there's no absolute truth? Like, there's no way to find out what reality was?
Well, I think that we refuse to allow that kind of cynicism on, let's say, a CNN's part. We see what they're doing. It's obvious. But what Americans are doing instead is they are cutting the cord, aren't they, right? The cable companies have realized that people are turning somewhere else. Now, this is a problem, though, for our democracy, because media and news and even opinion is meant to be an estate here. It's meant to really, yes, contradict power, to really be serious, though, about contradicting power, asking the hard questions. And when you've moved from not caring what the answers are, but making things up in order to achieve your political role, you've abandoned your job. So that harms all of us. It certainly harms the viewers over at CNN. And that has got to be our commitment with either opinion, certainly, and absolutely with news.
Nicely put, as always. Tammy Bruce, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Tucker.